this laptop also power. So there's no nothing but the name. I think mostly the local.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Someone. Okay, leadership.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yes. So I mentioned to bring on Mati that we have our instrument. So, but thank you for bringing this also. We have the instruments now. Where's your cover? The cover?
You just got it in the back. You just try to go back.
Please, go ahead. So you want to put the mic for you? So I put it there. Whichever one, if this one is open, so I can't.
You know, this is good that they bring this harmony of the temple.
Yes, yes, because that's you need to have experience to play that. That's kind of a strong one.
Because Balaji has this one at the same time. It should be. But it is very good. I tried to straighten up, or I thought I straightened up a little, but it is good. It's solid and everything.
That's very good. You fix it up, I remember it when it's
Right.
What are you going to speak? Bhagavatam morning?
I have no clue what he's doing. I was wondering myself. I thought it's. Do you think Bharat will object if I introduce him? Like from his website, there's a bio there.
Hare Krishna.
But they say last week in
So only there's new people sitting
yeah,
down.
we can touch.
Yeah. Then I'll say there's some. But if there's normal.
Yeah, I don't want to. Cool. Yeah, cut that piece. No, it's fine that way. It's fine then. Just, I'm not going to sit over it.
I think if it's only the normal, then obviously it's going to look very normal. But if there isn't. I saw you say, I lost myself.
This melody, there is so many melodies I have done. A lot of the melodies
Keep it here.
that I do is what came out from me. This one I have not done a long time, but I'm still, Hare Krishna, I keep remembering. This is a new one. I hope people can follow nicely.
I'll just take this to here.
Oh no,
Is that okay?
let me help you.
No, you will take. No, we'll take. I will take. Yeah. No, here, I can help. You are sitting.
Nice to see you. Yeah. Last time we came to your home. Yeah.
Indra Prabhu, we call it a tank. So I had Govinda. I ordered this and I have Govinda made it for me. We call it a tank also. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sometimes I play this and sometimes people get confused singing it, but I hope everybody get it. Hare Krishna. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Hari Guru Maharaji, ever since I leave Los Angeles, I have been doing this. And when I came to different part, Kishore Kishori, I heard no one was doing it. Yeah, no one was doing it, because the thing about it is prayers for Krishna's protection. And that early song book we had from the temple book, I had it until recently. For so many years.
Really?
That's why, yes.
It's really nice that you begin with this. It's really nice.
Yes.
Really nice.
Krishna, 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 hey bolo. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna 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 Rakshamam Krishna 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 Pahimam Krishna 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 Pahimam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakhamam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakhamam Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahimam Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahimam Namaho Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaho Vishnu Padaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschata Desatadine Bolo Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Paschata Desatadine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasari Gaura Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Bolo Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janam Balabha Giribhadadhari Gopi Janam Balabha Giribhadadhari Gopi Janam Balabha Giribhadadhari Jasodanandana Bratajanarandana Jasodanandana Bratajanarandana Jamanatira Gana Chadi Jamanatira Gana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janam Balabha Giribhadadhari Gopi Janam Balabha Giribhadadhari Yasodanandana Bratajanarandana Yasodanandana Bratajanarandana Yamanatira Vanachadi Yamanatira Vanachadi Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivijakacharya Astachara Satyasi Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaura Premanandi. I'm imitating the sound of the playful children. I hope the door closes. Is there a door down there that closes so they can... Your son and the three boys were parked in the back so they could exit when they wanted to. They were jockeying back and forth, and so they could make a quick getaway. Okay. We're continuing with Canto 2, Chapter 3, Pure Devotional Service. And we'll start with verse number 12. 2, 3, 12. Those of you that like to look up the verse. 2, 3, 12. The translation reads, transcendental knowledge in relation with the Supreme Lord Hari is knowledge resulting from the complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of the material modes. Such knowledge is self-satisfying due to its being freed from material attachment and being transcendental. It is approved by authorities. Who could fail to be attracted? Nice verse for the topic that was yesterday, Temple's topic. Why is Krishna consciousness attractive? Shall I read it again? Bear in mind our topic yesterday. Who could fail to be attracted to the all-attractive? Transcendental knowledge in relation with the Supreme Lord Hari is knowledge resulting in the complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of the material modes. Such knowledge is self-satisfying due to its being freed from material attachment and being transcendental. It is approved by authorities. Who could fail to be attracted? Well, we know who could fail to be attracted. Those who are attracted to being distracted. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. According to Bhagavad Gita 10.9, the characteristics of pure devotional service are wonderful. The complete functional activities of a pure devotee are always engaged in the service of the Lord, and thus the pure devotees exchange feelings of ecstasy between themselves and relish transcendental bliss. The transcendental bliss is experienced even in the stage of devotional practice, sadhana avastha, if properly undertaken under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And in the mature stage, the developed transcendental feeling culminates in realization of the particular relationship with the Lord, by which a living entity is originally constituted, parentheses, up to the relationship of conjugal love with the Lord, which is estimated to be the highest transcendental bliss, close parentheses. Thus, Bhakti Yoga, being the only means of God realization, is called Kaivalya. There are different meanings of the word Kaivalya. Srila Jiva Goswami quotes the Vedic version, parentheses, Eko Narayano Deva, Paravaranam, Param Easte Kaivalya Sangitaha. In this connection, and establishes that Narayana, the personality of Godhead, is known as Kaivalya, and the means which enables one to approach the Lord is called Kaivalya Pantha, or the only means of attainment of Godhead. This Kaivalya Pantha begins from Shravana, or hearing those topics that relate to the personality of Godhead, and the natural consequence of hearing such Hari Katha is attainment of transcendental knowledge, which causes detachment from all mundane topics for which a devotee has no taste at all. For a devotee, all mundane activities, social and political, become unattractive, and in the mature state, such a devotee becomes uninterested even in his own body, and what to speak of bodily relatives. Uh-oh. In such a state of affairs, one is not agitated by the waves of the material modes. There are different modes of material nature, and all mundane functions in which a common man is very much interested, or in which he takes part, becomes unattractive for the devotee. This state of affairs is described herein as prati nivrita gunormi. Prati nivrita gunormi. And it is possible by atma prasad, or complete self-satisfaction without any material connection. The first-class devotee of the Lord attains this stage by devotional service, but despite his loftiness for the Lord's satisfaction, he may play the voluntary part of a preacher of the Lord's glories and dovetail all into devotional service, even mundane interest, just to give the neophytes a chance to transform mundane interest into transcendental bliss. Srila Rupa Goswami has described this action of a pure devotee as nirbandha, Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchate. Last sentence is very interesting. Even mundane activities dovetailed with service to the Lord are also calculated to be transcendental or approved Kaivalya affairs. Wow, this is a really packed up purport. Jnanam yat aprati nivrita guna urmi. Guna Urmi, or Gunormi, the waves of the material modes. Chakram, whirlpool. Atma Prasad, self-satisfaction. In preparation for the upcoming Festival of the Holy Name, I've taken some fascination with Jiva Goswami's discussion in Bhagavat Sandarbha, connected with a section in Bhagavad Sandarbha that describes Shaktis, the Shaktis of Krishna, and he covers lots in that section. The Lord's spiritual potency or internal potency has different Sanskrit names, and one of those Sanskrit names is Swarup. Swarup Shakti. Swarupa Shakti, his own spiritual potency. Swarup Shakti. So is with the understanding that Shakti and Shaktiman are inseparable, but we can speak of them in separate manner, remembering they're inseparable. This Swarup Shakti, or the internal potency, has three divisions. Sandini, Samvit, Ladini. The first part is Samvit. What's in here? Transcendental knowledge in relation with the Supreme Lord Hari is Samvit. Doesn't say, but it's one of his internal potencies. If one, by hearing these topics, hearing about Krishna, hearing Krishna Katha, we're hearing of his internal potency. It may look like, studying something, because we're used to studying something. I mean, most people studying something. And that something is usually of a material quality or seen as separate from Krishna, although it's not separate from Krishna. So we're accustomed to that, seeing something, maybe there's God, but then there's something over here that's not the same as God. So we're used to, the subject and the object are different, and in transcendental matters, they're not. That's our children. I hope you don't mind a little philosophy, but the same understanding that Jiva Goswami writes about is in the commentary of Baladev Vidyabhusan, found in Brahma Samhita, Brahma Sutra, or Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra has 4 parts. The first 2 are the biggest, and that's Sambandha. And then the third is Abhideya, and the fourth is Prayojana. So in the Abhideya, that's the third section of Vedanta Sutra, Baladev Vidyabhusan describes the process of realization, which is what this verse is about. That's what made me think about it. Because there's notional, and then there's purification that comes from contact with Shabda, Brahman, spiritual sound. And when by contact with spiritual sound, there's purification. Or as it says here, transcendental knowledge in relation with the Supreme Lord, Hari, is knowledge resulting in the complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of the material modes. So we don't see reality. We don't see transcendence. We don't see the spiritual background behind. We just see the waves and whirlpools of the three modes of material nature. The movements of Prakriti has captivated us. And we're identifying with it, and we're trying to be the enjoyer of it, and sometimes not having a good time trying to be the enjoyer of it. But that's our program. And how to end? Well, even if somebody doesn't want to end, just by hearing the spiritual sound vibration, there's purification that comes. And that's, this conclusion at the end. Even mundane activities dovetailed with the service to the Lord are also calculated to be transcendental or approved Kaivalya affairs. So bhakti is generated by spiritual sound. Bhakti is generated by spiritual sound. Or generated is awakened. Here's a wooden table. And inside the wooden table, there's fire. Don't worry, it's not hot. I'm not burning my hand because it's stored. And it'll stay stored for a long time. Long time. And how did it get stored? Well, science has its explanation. By the process of photosynthesis, the trees gather the fire or heat and light of the sun and transform it into the tree. And the tree makes the wood, and there's fire stored. And fire can come out by touching the fire with the wood with fire. You may have to hold it there for a while, but the fire that's in the wood, first comes some smoke, and then comes some fire. Similarly, it's the exact same metaphor that's in the Bhagavatam about the consciousness of a living entity. And wood is better than raw earth, smoke is better than wood, and fire is better than smoke. It's describing the modes of nature. Ignorance, passion, and goodness. Because with goodness, with the fire, one can do yajna and engage in sacrifice for Vishnu. So from that position of goodness, then sacrifice unto transcendence can be achieved. So the mode of goodness is best. But the goal is to become free from the modes of nature. Even the fire, the so to speak fire, or the mode of goodness state, but transcendence is the goal. So you hold some fire to the wood, and gradually, because it's fire and there's wood that has fire stored, the fire comes out. Similarly, the process of bhakti is such just by transcendental sound, just by people hearing. Now, there's qualities of hearing, of course. There's intensities of fire held next to the wood, but the process is guaranteed. Hold fire next to the wood, it's going to burn because there's fire stored. So it's dependent. This concept, or the principle of awakening transcendental consciousness, is resting upon two things. Innately, inherently, the soul is carrying Krishna consciousness. It's within. And the second is contact with that which is also spiritual. And by contacting that which is spiritual with that which is spiritual, the covering becomes removed, or the waves and whirlpools of the modes of nature subside, just by that sound vibration. And it can be slow, or it can be in between, or it can be swift. But the principle is not about speed. The principle is about principle. the spiritual sound vibration, the Hari Katha, doing what we're doing right now, has that potency, like fire has the potency to bring out the stored fire in wood. The Hari Katha has the potency to bring about the subsiding of the waves and whirlpools. Gunormi, Urmi, the waves of the material nature, waves and whirlpools. Chakram, Gunormi Chakram. Atma Prasada. So that's in back to Jiva Goswami's explanation in Bhagavat Sandarbha. What the Swarup Shakti of Krishna has these three: Samtandini, Samvit, and Hladini. So mentioned here is also the Hladini portion. The Hladini portion brings joy or spiritual happiness, or it awakens the ananda aspect of the soul. Why is Krishna consciousness attractive? And this is a different audience than new people audience. So the ananda portion of the soul is naturally, it brings joy because it's of the soul and it's awakened through this Hari Katha. Or the other forms, the name, qualities, pastimes. And, everything is in the sound vibration itself of Srimad Bhagavatam, so it has that effect. Such knowledge, so it's this samvit, Jiva Goswami writes, when it contacts the soul, it awakens Atmagyan. The potency of samvit has the potency to awaken Atmagyan. Or it can be even called Atmagyan, knowledge of who we are, self-realization, just by sound vibration. Such knowledge is self-satisfying. What's the self-satisfying? Yenatma suprasidati, right? In the satisfaction, su means very, and prasanna means happy. Su prasanna, some prasidati or suprasidati. Yen atma supra, so happiness of the soul. And when the soul becomes happy, then whatever is going out there in the world of duality, which is generally what defines what happiness and distress equal, it subsides. When there's happiness within, it can be this or it can be that, and it's quite okay. I mean, we may want it to look like this instead of like that, but if it looks like that instead of like this, we're quite okay. In part because it's not really who we are. It's not what real happiness is, or it's not what real unhappiness is. What's the real? What is there such a thing as real unhappiness? From the transcendental perspective, is there such a thing? Somebody was asking. Premananda sent to me an online question or text message to her or something like that from the discussion yesterday at the temple. And the person is a medical doctor. He used to live in this area and then he moved to another area. So he wanted to know, how is it possible to feel separation from Krishna when you're chanting Krishna? Because Krishna is not different than his name. Good question, right? Krishna and his name are not different. Philosophically, Krishna and his name are not different. I may not be experiencing it, but Krishna and his name are not different. For a realized person, how is it possible to feel separation? Because the name is the same as Krishna. So if you're chanting, he's there. How are you feeling separation? Good question. Is it possible to feel separation? Is it possible? Well, it certainly is possible. Look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yungayatam nimeshena chakshusha pravisayatam Govinda virahe name. How can you feel separation when you're with the Supreme Lord? It's a transcendental emotion. So the answer to his, I'll send him this answer, but Premananda, you can pass it on to him as I'm speaking this. It's a transcendental emotion. It's certainly, if Mahaprabhu can experience, or let's take the immediate followers of Mahaprabhu, the 6 Goswamis, were they in touch with Krishna? Absolutely. Were they feeling separation from Krishna? Absolutely. Hey Radhe Brajadevi Ke Chalalite. So it's a feeling of insufficiency in one's connection with Krishna and therefore searching for Krishna. Or it can be transcendentally that Krishna appears and then disappears. Like he did for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One of the examples, very nice example, was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after receiving Diksha from his spiritual master, Ishwara Puri. Almost immediately, he started entering into a mood of ecstasy in separation from Krishna. He was chanting. With the impetus for that feeling of love and separation was the mantra. And then he was feeling separation. So he started running for Vrindavan. From the place where he had just received Diksha, the place where he had received mantra from his guru, the place where he was doing Shraddha for his father, from Gaya, he started running to Vrindavan, feeling separation from Krishna. A voice came from the sky. Wait. It was demigods, the voice from the sky. Ashwani Kata. So they said, not now. You can do that later. Go to Vrindavan. You came to deliver all the souls. Oh. It's something like Narada reminding Krishna, you've come into this world to kill the demons. So Krishna came to kill the demons, and Lord Chaitanya came to kill demoniac mentality. So he went back, gathered up his students, and started heading for Lavadweep, for his home, after doing the rituals for his father. And on the way, most of you know this pastime, one of the places he went to was Kanai Natashala. And in Kanai Natashala, Lord Chaitanya saw Krishna. Of course, he's Krishna. But he saw Krishna and started running. Oh, my Lord! Krishna smiled and then poof, he disappeared. And Lord Chaitanya went to pieces, feeling, oh, where has he gone? Oh, Krishna! Sighing and crying and wailing uncontrollably. In the course of time, he came more to external consciousness. He went back to his home, called the devotees, those that loved him. He's just been initiated. And they were to gather together so he could explain what had happened to him. And when he started to explain what had happened to him, he lost it. He couldn't talk. He was overwhelmed with feelings of loving separation. So is it possible? Sure. But it's a transcendental separation. Is it possible to experience something other than Ananda? Well, no, it's another type of Ananda. It looks like really bad. When he was in Jagannath Puri, it is said he would feel such intense separation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that it would grind his face against the wall in the inside of his room and become bruised and bloodied. And his servant had to stop him, hold him. And feelings of separation. He wasn't feeling pain other than the anguish of separation. So but it's an ecstasy. It doesn't look like ecstasy. It looks like something else. Kind of like I was thinking about that discussion 4 times discussed of the son of Srivas Pandit dying and Srivas not wanting to disturb Lord Chaitanya's ecstasy. So he ordered, he what's the right word? He threatened, if you continue to cry, I'm going to run right now to the Ganges and drown myself in the Ganges. You'll lose me. Stop. And he said it with such intensity and conviction, they stopped. But how could they stop? But they stopped. Because it's a transcendental emotion. A transcendental emotion of love, where the happiness of the beloved is more than anything to me. I mean, it's not only Krishna's Leela or Gaura Leela, and Ram's Leela. When Sita was left, what a drama. When Sita was left by Lakshman at the ashram of Valmiki, Lakshman lost it. And Sita lost it. But this is the desire of my Lord, and so be it. Because his happiness is everything to me. You know, it's sorrow plus. It's, you know, such an intense feeling. This is, you know, she didn't do anything. And he knows that she didn't do anything, and he's banishing her. Whereas Gopal, you know, when you do something that seems to be the right thing, at the same time you bring suffering to others. Scripture's filled with stuff like that. Practically speaking, anything you do is going to be pleasing to some and displeasing to others. Try to think of something that's displeasing to everybody, and you won't find it. Because there's always going to be some persons that find it displeasing. So, you know, like the question last night, the lady that wanted to know, how do you deal with family members that don't like Krishna, you're being so involved in Krishna Bhakti, they want you to do other stuff. How do you always please all people all the time? Even if you're Krishna, you're going to displease some people. What to speak of us? But the ananda, so back to the purport, the ananda that results, because what Prabhupada is describing is a sequence in the purport. The sequence is Harikatha. Harikatha serves to subdue and then eliminate the waves and the whirlpools of material nature, of the modes of material nature. Next, the complete functional activities. It's not neutral or, you know, zone out or something like that. Numb yourself so you don't feel waves and the whirlpools of material nature. It's the waves and the whirlpools subside. Then the activities, the complete functional activities of a pure devotee are always engaged in the service of the Lord, and thus the pure devotees exchange feelings of ecstasy between themselves, of course, with Krishna at the center, and relish transcendental bliss. That's the Ananda portion. That's the Swarup Shakti has existential or samdini, the knowledge potency samvit, and followed by the queen, or the superlative position of the Swarup Shakti of Krishna, the Ladini portion, the bliss portion, the ecstasy portion. And that's shared, Krishna's at the center. It's the Swarup Shakti of Krishna that's the ecstasy for the devotees as they're discussing Hari Katha. Kathayantas chamam nityam tushanti cha ramanti cha. This transcendental bliss is experienced even in the stage of devotional practice. I hope you're all experiencing some bliss. You know, what Prabhupada writes in Nectar Devotion is, in the beginning stages one may get, how does he put it, like, you know, a shadow, a glimpse, that the curtain opens and then it closes, like Monkey Bihari. There he is, whoop, he went away. So some glimpse, otherwise how can we continue? And we should understand, it's just a shadow. It's not the full, it's just a glimpse of the shadow of. Keep going, Prabhus. The transcendental reality is awaiting, is beckoning. And that's just to give some encouragement. It's specifically just to give some encouragement. Keep going. Because Krishna doesn't want partial. Krishna wants our heart. He wants everything. And you give everything and you get everything. But we're holding on. Just in case, right? I mean, I'm so insignificant. Why does Krishna even bother with a little insignificant person like me? So I have to look after my backside. I have to hold on to some stuff so I can feel secure. Because if I let go, then what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I better not let go. Besides, I'm attached. And in the mature stage of developing transcendental feeling, it culminates in realization of the particular relationship with the Lord. That's mature stage. By which a living entity is originally constituted. So there it is. The ontology of the soul is bhakti is within. Not only bhakti is within, Krishna prema is within. There's been a discussion going on out there in, the world, the Vaishnava world. Someone says something else. So Rajabihari shared with me, he asked Garuda, Sanskrit scholar, Garuda, what's your opinion? Is bhakti intrinsic within the jiva? He said, no. Krishna prema is intrinsic within the jiva. Like exclamation point. Realization of the particular relationship with the Lord by which a living entity is originally constituted. Up to the relationship of conjugal love with the Lord, which is estimated to be the highest transcendental bliss. Thus, we're doing it for a second time, step by step, this wonderful purport. Bhakti Yoga, being the only means of God realization, right? Krishna consciousness is the only way. Not the institution, but pure devotion is the only means of God realization. So, Bhaktyamam Abhijanati, Krishna consciousness. Bhakti is the only way by which one can know Krishna. One can have some idea of Krishna, that's fine. By detached work, that's fine. Attached work isn't fine. Detached work, that's fine. And from that detached work, then further interest in sat, so cultivation of knowledge, and you can know something, theoretically, not fully, but theoretically something, through cultivation of gyan, at least up to, at the utmost, to realization of Brahman, at utmost. Bahunam janmanam ante Gyanavan mam prapadyate, up to the point of surrender to Krishna. And what's that knowledge? Krishna is everything. There isn't anything outside of Krishna or part